At least 25 people have died after torrential rains caused landslide on flooded Zhengzhou city in central China. World Health Organization warned that 75% of the vaccines against COVID-19 have already been administered in the only 10 countries. An attack on the acting president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, during a Muslim ritual linked to the feast of Eid al-Adha in the Great Mosque of the Bamako was strengthened on Tuesday. Welcome to TeleSUR English. I am Denise Herrera and this is from the south. At least 25 people have died after torrential rains caused landslide on flooded Zhengzhou city in central China. Shocking image showing passengers struggling against chest-high water inside a train carrier. Chinese President Xi Jinping described the situation as extremely severe, with flood control measures entering a critical stage. Around 200,000 residents were evacuated in Zhengzhou. Meanwhile, soldiers led rescue efforts in the city of over 10 million people, which show the equivalent of a year's average rain-up in just 3 days. Meanwhile, Beijing rescue team get ready to aid flood-hit area in central China. The Beijing's Blue Sky rescue team prepares lab raft and relief boats ahead of the mission to aid the flood-stricken central China province of Henan. The grassroots volunteer rescue network dispatched a total of 72 Beijing members who set off for the city of Zhengzhou, some 600 kilometers away on Wednesday. In Erwiller, a town in western Germany devastated by the floods, residents are clearing out their homes and discovering the extent of the disaster. The west of the country was dug over 2 days last week, with torrents of water sweeping away trees, cars and bridges and destroying swathes of housings. Germany has developed 850 soldiers to assist with its disaster relief effort after severe flooding left at least 105 people dead in 2 western states. A state of emergency has been declared in Russia's Karelia region due to large-scale forest fires. A state of high alert for forest fire was declared in the region on July 14. According to the latest data, 38 forest fires engulfing 7,110 hectares of the active in Karelia, of which 15 fires have been contained. On 1,001 hectares, as many as 600 people have been evacuated. Military helicopters helping to tackle forest fires, dropping 26 metric tons of water on the most active fires. A state of emergency over wildfires is also in effect in another 10 Russian regions, including the Chelyabinsk and Sakha regions. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán said Wednesday that a referendum will be held to gauge Donbass support for a LGBTQ law after the European Commission launched legal actions against Budapest over the measure. The legislation, which includes a ban on the depiction or promotion of homosexuality and gender reassignment to under 18s, was built by Budapest as a way to protect children, but opponents argue that it conflicts pedophilia with homosexuality and stigmatizes the LGBTQ community. Orbán said the referendum will include the 5 questions, including asking citizens if they agree that schools should be permitted to talk about sexuality to their children without their consent. No date has been set for the referendum, which the Prime Minister presented as a list of demands that the European Union would like to impose on Hungary.
Ezért a brüsszeli bürokraták fenyegetőznek, kötelezettségszegési eljárásokat indítanak, vagyis visszaélnek a hatalmukkal. Azt kérem önöktől, hogy közösen mondjunk nemet ezekre a kérdésekre, ahogy 5 évvel ezelőtt is nemet mondtunk, amikor Brüsszel a bevándorlókat akarta rákényszeríteni Magyarországra.
Well, take a short break now, don't go away. Welcome back. Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, warned that 75% of the vaccines against COVID-19 have already been administered in only 10 countries and blamed the inequality of a lack of political commitment. During his speech at the 138th sessions of the International Olympic Committee, Adhanom pointed out that the required resources to end the COVID-19 pandemic already exist. He denounces the lack of real commitment on the part of the world's governments to achieve it. Meanwhile, the Director General recalled that each government must pledge to protect its population and strive to vaccinate at least 10% of each country's population by September 2021, 40% by the end of this year and 7% by the mid of 2022. It is a pandemic whose spread can be controlled. He also urged that mass vaccination against the coronavirus and insists that the common goal should be to vaccinate at least 10% of each country's population by September 2021, 40% by the end of this year and 70% by the 2022. He finally warned that 11 million vaccines are needed to vaccinate 70% of each country's population by mid-2022, and that goal requires a dramatic increase in production. Tunisia is facing its worst coronavirus surge since the pandemic began, further stressing the North African country already cramped hospitals and health system. The pressure of new cases and hospitalizations has forced some regions to go back into lockdown, and public waves of the nation vaccine or medical and from China, France, Turkey, Italy, the United Arab Emirates and Algeria. Some hospitals have been forced to transfer COVID-19 patients to other hospitals as supplies become limited. Tunisia has appealed internationally for help, with the response being that aid having arriving from countries both near and far.
We have a fraternal relationship with our Egyptian brothers, especially in the health field. These subsidies and gifts enable us to develop our healing capabilities and to investigate and to treat patients with coronavirus. It is a veritable air bridge being run by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the benefit of Tunisia in this critical period. We are so happy as the aid is of great value and high quality, from advanced German and American-made equipment and quantities of vaccines.
Authorities of the French government announced Monday that the European countries now facing the fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is stronger and has a faster impact due to the predominance of the Delta strain of the virus. Government spokesperson Gabriel Attal said that the country has registered a sudden and accelerated increase in the rate of incidence of the virus, something that has not occurred since the beginning of the pandemic. Attal recalled the government was taking all measures to ensure that this new wave will not become more devastating. The Indonesian government has decided to extend the emergency community activity restrictions to July 25 as the country is still fighting the second wave of COVID-19. The emergency restrictions, which include a ban on dining services at restaurants and mandates to work from the home for workers in non-essential sectors, were initially implemented on the country's most populated island of Java and the resort island of Bali from July 3rd to July 20. The restrictions were later expanded to 15 other regions to surge in the new cases of COVID-19. The pandemic has spread to all countries, 34 provinces, and the more transmissible virus Delta variant has contributed to the surge in the COVID-19 cases in some of the country's regions. The government of Mexico sent pilot packing tests of Sputnik vaccine to the Gamaleya National Research Institute of Epidemiology and Microbiology located in Russia to be analyzed by qualified specialists. The same firm was authorized after the necessary producers for its transfer were completed, since the pilot tests of components 1 and 2 were kept at the National Institute of Virology of Birmex at -20 degrees centigrade. In a press release, the Pharmaceutical Institute highlighted that the successful packing of the components where 10 liters of the active substance were used. Once of the shipment is complicated, Mexico must wait for the official response within the next 21 days to obtain the corresponding quality certificates. Ecuadorian health authorities have confirmed 40 cases of the COVID-19 Delta strain in the country. Most of these cases are located in a province bordering Peru. Minister of Health Jimena Garzón confirmed the number of cases and stressed that the Delta strain not only multiplies the number of cases rapidly, but also increases medical complications, so the mortality risk is much higher. The minister also reiterated that not only way to avoid these complications are a worse outcome, it is to complete the vaccination schedule. Therefore, she urged to citizens to participate in the vaccination campaigns as soon as possible.
Lo que llevó al gobierno a reforzar las restricciones de movilidad.
An attack on the acting president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, during a Muslim ritual linked to the feast of Eid al-Adha in the Great Mosque of Bamako was wanted on Tuesday. In the morning hours of this Tuesday, two people tried to stop the inter-president of Mali, Assimi Goïta. The authorities stated it was after the prayer and while the imam was heading towards the exit of the mosque to split the ship that attempted stabbing took place. After the incident, Goïta was removed from the place, apparently unharmed. After the incident, Goïta was removed from the place, apparently unharmed.
All is fine. All is fine. No problem. These things are part of the job when you are a leader, when you command people. There are some who are discontented. There are people who try at any time to do these kind of things to destabilize. It was an isolated incident that has been brought under control. I reassure the nation and international community that I am fine. There is no problem. No one was hurt. It was dealt with. I call on the people of Mali for cohesion and to our partner also.
In Israel, at least 11 Palestinian prisoners continue on hunger strike to protest against the occupying Israeli regime's abuses. According to local news agency WAFA, which supports the Nadi al-Assir organizations, the detainees identified as Mohammed Sugayer, Mujahid Hamed, Muhammad Amar, Salem Saidat, and Nidal Muflin Kalaf continue a hunger strike for the 9th consecutive day. It was also learned that 5 more prisoners joined the strike 6 days ago. They all protest against the human condition of confinement imposed by the Tel Aviv, which entail the denial of the rights and guarantees that detainees have and the disrespect for their human rights. The Palestinian Hamas movement called on the Islamic community to encourage resistance in response to recent Israeli attacks on Syria and Lebanon. The Palestinian resistance movement stated that the attacks perpetrated by the Tel Aviv against Syria and Lebanon represent an intimidatory action against the entire region. The hostilities are taking place in the context of Islamic holiday of Eid al-Adha, which marks the last day of the rituals of the annual Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. The Islamic organization's spokesman pointed out that a broad resistance in the Islamic world using all its powers and capabilities is only the way to stop Tel Aviv's aggressions. Muslims around the world are celebrating the Eid al-Adha religion's holiday, which in Arabic means the festival of the sacrifice. This festival marks the end of Hajj, the 5-day pilgrimage Muslims undertake to cleanse the soul of sins and instill a sense of equality and brotherhood. The day is marked with the sacrifice of an animal, usually a goat, a sheep or cow, and the distribution of the meat among neighbor groups, family members, and the poor. More story coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. On Tuesday, Cuban authorities denied the rumors of hundreds of people missing after being detained in the midst of violent actions in several cities of the nation, spread by social media and foreign news agencies. Colonel Victor Alvarez, second chief on the specialized body of the Ministry of the Interior General Department of Criminal Investigations, confirmed that each person detained was bugged and the reason for the detention is duly recorded.
When someone is taken to a police station, the first thing that is done is to record the detainee's personal information and draw up a report. In the first 24 hours, the family normally knows where the person is being held. If we notice that the report has been manipulated, it is a report that really loses seriousness. It loses credibility, it loses strength, due to the lack of data, and there are many people that we have verified that they have never been arrested, nor have ever been interviewed by the ministry.
In the same context, José Luis Reyes, head of the Criminal Proceedings Department of the Attorney General's Office, added that the arrest is preceded by a complaint and that there are open channels of communication so that any citizen can report any violation committed by the Central State Administration agencies.
Y a partir del día 12 de este mes de julio, por hechos asociados
Since July 12, 63 people have approached the prosecutor's office.
Pues se han dirigido a la fiscalía 63 personas. 63 personas. Mayormente la vía utilizada ha sido la presencia
Mostly in person, to ask certain questions and seek information about arrests.
Diferentes provincias a formular determinadas inquietudes.
In Mexico, the Congress of the state of Veracruz approved the interruption of the pregnancy until the 12th week of gestation, becoming the fourth Mexican state to adopt this measure. With 25 votes in favor, 3 against, and 1 abstention, the Congress of Veracruz approved the legislative initiative that amends the local penal code to allow the right to legal abortion until the 12th week of gestation. Colombia's gathers in Bogotá in fresh protests against the government of President Iván Duque. The demonstration comes as the country celebrates its Independence Day, with protesters seeking to resume an anti-government campaign. Dozens of people arrived at the different meeting point in Bogotá, one of the main centers of the demonstration against President Iván Duque that broke out on April 28 and have been going on since then with more intense than others. The National Strike Committee, which gathers union students, indigenous and social organizations, called for marches and rallies in the main cities of the country after having temporarily suspended them on June 15. Almost a dozen cities imposed night curfews to avoid disturbances. In Haiti, the transition was made as Prime Minister to Ariel Henry, who assumed it from Claude Joseph as the maximum authority of the Caribbean nation. The new Prime Minister Ariel Henry thanked all the members of the outgoing cabinet and took the opportunity to pay a minute of silence in honor of the President Jovenel Moïse. In this regard, Henry thanked the country that collaborated in the investigation of these assassinations. On his administration, he assured that he is ready to engage in dialogue with all sectors of Haiti to develop the economy and boost the nation's growth. The new Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry, stresses during his first address that his predecessor, Claude Joseph, selected him because he considered him someone who can dialogue with all sectors of the country.
I do not think that our Prime Minister chooses me as a person who can do miracles, but I believe that he saw in me a Democrat, a person who can speak with the whole sector of national life.
In relation to the assassination of the President Jovenel Moïse, the new Prime Minister of Haiti affirmed that justice will be enforced, at the same time that he thanked the collaboration of the different countries participating in this investigation.
Asian justice is going. The nation is not expecting such people. We must never relive this drama again. We are thanking the sister nations who are helping us in that search, in that investigation.
We have come to the end of this new brief. You can find this and many other stories in our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media for TeleSUR English. I am Denise Herrera. Thank you for watching.